For all your t-shirt needs, check out TeePublic's Killer Selection. Follow the link in the description. Hey, what's up, people? Piz Al here, and today I want to talk to you guys about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And I apologize in advance because this isn't going to be a traditional review. This is really just going to be my thoughts on the movie, presented in a very shooting from the hip kind of way. So through the magic of editing, I will cut out any tangents or rants, or if I just go off into some other headspace entirely, I'll try to be as focused as possible for you guys. I'm not going to go into the plot or anything like that and bore you with any of that stuff. I've seen the film twice. I just went and watched the film for a second time this afternoon, and I really felt like I needed to see the movie for a second time to really kind of wrap my head around Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Because the first time I saw the movie, my feelings were very mixed. However, I felt mostly negative about the movie. The second time around, I was able to discern some moments from the movie that I did like. The first time around, I think I focused more on the negative. The second time around, I tried to focus more on the positive. However, my feelings overall are still very mixed, and I think still mostly negative when it comes to Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Now, as far as the things I liked about the movie, I think the movie looked fantastic. The film is written and directed by Rian Johnson. I'm a huge fan of Rian Johnson. I loved his films Brick and Looper. I was really excited when I heard that he was writing and directing The Last Jedi. So from a technical point of view, the movie looks absolutely fantastic. The special effects are absolutely fantastic. Just a really nice looking and sounding movie. From a performance point of view, I thought the performances all around in this film were fantastic. I really liked Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. He really brought a lot of intensity to the performance. I love a good bad guy. I love a good conflicted bad guy. He's clearly very, very conflicted. Daisy Ridley as Rey is fantastic. Mark Hamill is good as Luke, although it's definitely a very different kind of Luke Skywalker than we've seen in the past. It was great seeing Carrie Fisher play Princess Leia for the final time, unfortunately. You do have some great action sequences in the film. There's a great sequence in which Kylo Ren and Rey sort of join forces and they take on all of Snoke's bodyguards. That was a great sequence. The last act of the film takes place on this planet, which is covered in a white sheet of salt, and beneath that salt is this red earthy stuff. So it was pretty cool whenever you would see, things exploding or things being dragged across the salt or people walking on the salt, because it's like there's blood underneath it or something to that effect. It was very cool visually. There's an excellent sequence in which Laura Dern's character sacrifices herself so the last few remaining rebels can flee the rebel ship. And that sequence is punctuated with just a few brief moments of silence that really hits home the epicness of that sequence. That was a really nice sequence. So from a technical point of view, from an acting point of view, the movie's pretty darn good. Where I find a lot of flaws in Star Wars: The Last Jedi is just the storytelling. It's the narrative of the movie. Number one, this movie is way too long. This is a 2.5+ hour movie. There's a lot going on in this movie. However, it feels like Very little of what's going on actually bears any kind of substance. It feels like this is a 2.5 hour movie with maybe an hour's worth of substance in it. And when I think about sort of the, those wasted moments in the film, if you've seen Star Wars The Last Jedi, I'm sure you will recall the whole subplot that happens right in the middle of the film. Basically, it's the entire second act of the movie in which Finn, Rose, and Benicio del Toro's character break into Snoke's big mothership in order to throw a monkey wrench into their tracking system so that they cannot track what few rebels remain in the Rebel Alliance through hyperspace or light speed or what have you, while at the same time there's this big coup happening on the rebel ship between Poe Dameron and Laura Dern's character. And there's a lot happening during this whole subplot in the movie. Again, it takes up pretty much the entire second half of the film. And then you discover that entire thing could have been prevented if Laura Dern's character had just told Poe's character what the plan was. If she'd literally just taken 5 seconds out of her time to tell him what the plan was, the entire middle section of this movie didn't need to happen. So even though that middle section builds on characters, I know it's intended to build on the relationship between Finn and Rose, and it was nice to see Benicio del Toro in the movie, and his character was pretty interesting, but and there's some nice action sequences thrown in there. There's some nice moments of suspense and tension, but it all seems really kind of shallow when you take into account that all it would have taken to subvert this entire huge subplot, again, basically the entire middle portion of this film, would be 5 seconds of Laura Dern's character's time. So everything that I did invest into those characters during that sequence just, again, feels really shallow and wasted because, again, 5 seconds of Laura Dern's time to tell Poe what the plan was. And there's a lot of moments like that in the movie that just kind of feel like, I don't know, it's almost like they're there. Not that there's like product placement in this movie, but kind of like product placement for, I don't know, for the characters, for their action figures, or for, the poor stuffed animals and stuff like that just don't hold any kind of substance. And before anybody says anything, I'm perfectly fine with the porgs. I'm A-okay with the porgs. And I completely understand the concept that the movie is trying to push, and that is kill the past. It's like the theme of the movie is kill the past, forget about the past. In other words, they're saying forget about those old Star Wars movies. This is the new Disney Star Wars saga. Forget about the past. And I'm cool with that. I'm fine with that. I love the Star Wars saga, at least episodes 4, 5, and 6. I love the characters from those films, but I'm fine with Disney sort of, I hate to use the term reboot, but and maybe not, that's not the right term, but kind of, I don't know, do their own thing. But this feels like kind of a half-hearted attempt to do their own thing, because as much as they're trying to be unique and be their own, whereas The Force Awakens mirrored a lot of A New Hope, I saw a heck of a lot of Empire Strikes Back in The Last Jedi. Again, the last act takes place on a salt planet. That reminded me a whole lot of the snow planet from Empire Strikes Back. There's a lot of other elements from Empire Strikes. The basic structure of the movie is basically Empire Strikes Back. So I don't understand the people who are applauding this movie, saying that, you know, they're cutting ties with the old with the old Star Wars movies, but they're doing so in a way exactly like they're basically, it's a carbon copy of The Empire Strikes Back, but they're cutting ties from the old series. I don't get that. I didn't see that at all, to be perfectly honest. And when I say that they're wanting you to forget about the old movies, it seems like they're also wanting you to forget about The Force Awakens as well, because all of the questions that The Force Awakens left open, The Last Jedi just doesn't seem to care about answering them. Those questions being, who is Snoke and who are Rey's parents? Well, who is Snoke? Doesn't matter. Who cares? He's on screen for 5 minutes and then he dies. Period. That's it. All of the hours spent by people debating who Snoke is he Darth Plagueis? Is he a Force vampire? Doesn't matter. He's nobody. He's dead. He's on screen 5 minutes and he's dead. And we'll never mention him again. This guy, at the end of Jedi, the Empire was in ruins. This guy comes along and builds from the ground up the First Order and turns them into a juggernaut. This guy is hugely powerful with the Force, or so it would seem, because he can create these Force Skype calls between Rey and Kylo Ren during the movie. But he's too blind to see Kylo's left hand manipulating the lightsaber beside him. Anyway, he's a super powerful being, but he's 5 minutes on screen and he's dead, and we'll never mention him again. As far as who Rey's parents are, again, all the hours of debating, all the hours of hypothesizing. Is she Darth Sidious's daughter? Is she Luke's daughter? Who is she? How does she play into this whole thing? How can she be so Force powerful? Don't know. She just is, because her parents were, at least according to Kylo Ren, just junkers from Jakku, and they traded her for booze money. That was answered just as simply as that. 2 sentences. Rey's parentage summed up in 2 sentences. That's it. And that's pretty disappointing. I was also really surprised with how the characters in this film were written, particularly Luke Skywalker. And I can totally understand why Mark Hamill was so vociferously bashing The Last Jedi publicly, because they took Luke Skywalker, the last hope, the Jedi Master, the legend, the icon, and turned him into a whiny, curmudgeon, cowardly, just sad sack. And I get it. He's a broken man. He's lost faith in the Force. He's lost faith in the Jedi. He failed Ben Solo. I get that. I get it. But man, it just kind of felt like they gave him a real drubbing. And how Luke Skywalker fails Ben Solo, to me, kind of feels insulting to Luke. That Luke sensed the dark side in Ben Solo, but instead of trying to save him the way that he saved his father, he's just going to kill him while he sleeps in the middle of the night. Luke Skywalker is going to creep up on Ben Solo, basically a boy, and kill him in the middle of the night while he sleeps. Kill him in his sleep. That's Nothing says Jedi like killing a boy while he sleeps. I was also really disappointed in the character of Poe Dameron. I really enjoyed him in The Force Awakens, and the actor who plays him, Oscar Isaac, is a fantastic actor. Yet in The Last Jedi, they portray him as this impulsive idiot. He shoot first, ask questions later. He can't get his head out of his cockpit, as Laura Dern's character in the film says. They just kind of made him not a very likable and certainly not trustworthy kind of character. And I think probably the worst thing I can say about The Last Jedi is that it just didn't feel like a Star Wars movie to me. It didn't have that heart. It didn't have that spirit that I can even feel in some of the prequels, and those are just god awful. But it just didn't feel like a Star Wars movie to me. This is a movie that has divided not just Star Wars fans, but just movie fans in general. I don't consider myself to be the world's biggest Star Wars fan. As I said before, I love episodes 4, 5, and 6. I love the characters from episodes 4, 5, and 6. Those are amazing movies. They've stood the test of time. They will live on forever. So I have no particular attachment to those films or to those characters. And I'm fine with Disney saying that they want to do things their own way. That's fine with me. I went to Star Wars The Last Jedi just wanting a good movie. And even on that level, I don't think the movie succeeds. It doesn't succeed as a Star Wars movie. And I don't think it succeeds just as a good movie in general. And I think they've really kind of left the series at a crossroads. And I'm really curious to see how they're going to handle the fact that Carrie Fisher passed away. How are they going to, write off the lack of Princess Leia in Episode 9? Because from my understanding, from what I've read, they're not going to CGI her in as they did with Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One, which I think is a very smart move. But how are they going to explain that she's not there? And I think actually we just had the year anniversary of Carrie Fisher passing away. So I'm interested to see how they're going to explain that. And I'm really interested to see also, because I understand that Rian Johnson's not going to be writing or directing Episode 9, that those duties are going back to J.J. Abrams. And I'm wondering how, yes, The Last Jedi has made a ton of money at the box office. There's no debating that. And there's also no debating that the movie's divided people. Will J.J. Abrams change things up? Will they, I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do, and maybe nothing, because honestly, money talks, and The Last Jedi's made a ton of money. So I don't know. It's still very much a mixed bag for me, but there's more negatives than positives with The Last Jedi, in my opinion. And I'm really curious to see, or to read, what you guys have to say about the film in the comments section below. So please let me know your thoughts on Star Wars The Last Jedi in the comments section below. Where do you see Episode 9 going? Where do you see the future of Star Wars going? Because Disney has every intention of the Star Wars universe expanding and expanding and expanding. So we're going to be seeing a lot more Star Wars universe movies in the future. There's no doubt about that. As a matter of fact, Rian Johnson is going to be writing and directing his own trilogy of Star Wars related movies in the future as well. So yeah, Let me know your thoughts on the Star Wars universe, the Disney Star Wars universe, down in the comments section below. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. They're also right around here. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. Join the $1 a month club and help support my channel on Patreon. Thank you to my current patrons, Turi Delamore, Farron Sutton, Jeremiah Lambert, Derek Jana, Richard Mead, and Orc145626. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.